Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent. Today we're discussing the devilishly good-looking Tieflings. Tieflings actually describes a large amount of creatures. Anyone that is plane-touched from the fiendish planes would be considered a Tiefling. Tieflings share some lineage with demons, devils, Yugoloths, and even some evil deities. Somewhere in their family history is a fiend of sorts, and that can manifest in children, making them look devilish or demonic themselves. The list of potential monsters that could cause a Tiefling is long. Meriliths or succubus, pit fiends, or even night hags. A Rakshasa could also be the cause of a Tiefling. Most Tieflings can be identified by their horns, their prehensile tail, and varying shades of skin color anywhere from purple to red. But one can be a Tiefling with much smaller details, less noticeable signs. Some might just have pointed teeth, while others have black orbs in place of their eyes. The common Tiefling look, though, is horns of some sort with an attached tail. Tieflings' physical appearance often depend on their ancestry. Diabolic or demonic Tieflings could have leathery skin or a forked tongue. They might smell of brimstone or be unable to cast a shadow. It's kind of fun and open-ended for a player to create a Tiefling that looks as fiendish as the player desires. They could have no abnormalities except large leathery wings. Perhaps they just have cat-like eyes, or you could go the full path and give them cloven hooves for feet. Within the book, Races of Faerun, there is a list of physical features that are associated with particular monsters, such as cat eyes for Rakshasa and hooves for devils. Tieflings that have a heritage from an evil deity look different than others. Those with a connection to the goddess Beshaba might have elk horns. Those sired by Mask would cast no reflection. In the Forgotten Realms, Tieflings don't really have a culture to call their own because they are born into regular society. They do their best to fit into that culture. Some embrace their fiendish heritage and some do not. Does your Tiefling enjoy the fact that they are a Tiefling, with a foot already in the fiendish planes of sorts? Tieflings of this sort seeking an arcane path almost always went with becoming a warlock. Making deals with extraplanar creatures for power might seem easier when you're shunned away from traditional paths because of how you look, or when you discover you can broaden your innate magical skill by making a tiny pact with a devil. Most Faerunian Tieflings come from the bloodlines originated in Mulheron and Thay, the result of dalliances with fiends of all kinds. Thay and Tieflings are usually the grandchildren of powerful wizards that made some power play and brought about a Tiefling. Some embrace the evil that has tainted their bodies, others reject it. Just like any of the civilized races, the decision for good and evil is left up to the individual. Because they are shunned or have been in the past, Tieflings are slow to make new friends, often finding kinship with other Tieflings. They are very slow to trust other races, and half-orcs are really the only race that Tieflings tolerate, as they seem to be going through the whole mixed heritage much like themselves. Not surprisingly, Tieflings make excellent adventurers, either embracing the darkness or turning towards the light. They make great warlocks, but they could also be faithful paladins. Now we get to Asmodeus and the spellplague. Previously mentioned in my deity videos, Asmodeus consumed Azuth and his divine spark to ascend to godhood. Click the link in the top right corner for more information. Also during this time, a coven of warlocks known as the Toral 13 performed a rite where Asmodeus would be able to claim all Tieflings as his own. The Toral 13 were 13 warlocks that were descendants of the original 13 warlocks Asmodeus made pacts with. This ritual of sorts cursed all Tieflings to bear the blood of Asmodeus, marking all Tieflings as descendants of the Lord of the Nine Hells. This occurred in 1358 DR and reshaped all of the varied style of Tieflings that we've already talked about. Were you a Night Hag Tiefling or a Rakshasas Tiefling? Well, now you're a Lord of the Nine Hells Tiefling. This forced most Tieflings to all have the same devilish appearance. The ritual also enabled Asmodeus to become a racial god, ensuring him enough followers to obtain godly powers. Eventually, Azuth became powerful enough to attempt to take control away from Asmodeus. It was during the Second Sundering that Asmodeus freed Azuth with the deal that he would be able to consume Nana Sin's divine spark, who is an Untharite god. The deal was made, and Asmodeus has been a deity in the Forgotten Realms pantheon ever since. Despite what some would have you believe, Asmodeus exerts no will or power over his, quote, children. Now, because of this ritual, we have more uniformed look for Tieflings, because their ancestors became tied to that of Asmodeus himself. However, since then, there have been new Tieflings that have popped up who are not descendants of Asmodeus, reverting back to the varied style of Tieflings one can find in the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, or Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Tieflings have no native home to call their own. In the north, the largest population of Tieflings live in Neverwinter. Within the city is a violent cult of Asmodeus called the Ashmedai, so Tieflings aren't trusted very much here either. Still, many persist in making good names for themselves and for Tieflings everywhere. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. I know that it's typical, but I'd love to play a Tiefling Warlock sometime. I think a Tiefling Rogue is on my bucket list of characters to play too. Probably an arcane trickster who is the descendant of Mammon, the great miser who loves coins above all else. Special thanks to my patrons who make these videos happen. If you're interested in supporting Forgotten Realms Explained, then click the link in the description or at the end of this video. Thanks again for liking and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next video.